Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to be doing a trailer breakdown for the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong. And we're getting the first trailer for that today, so we're going to just kind of dive into that. Now, again, this movie's only going to be out supposedly anyway, it's going to be coming out in a couple of months. So we're seeing the first trailer for this. This is the first time we're seeing, well, I shouldn't say necessarily the first time we're seeing, because we've seen small little screenshots and little clips and stuff here and there, but this is the first time we're seeing a big trailer, and this trailer does a couple of things that I really like, and a couple of things that I don't 100% like. And the reason why is because not necessarily that it commits the cardinal sin of trailers. It doesn't give away the entire story of the movie in the trailer, but I think it gives away maybe a bit too much of the action, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about as we get into this. Now, the opening scene we have is basically this city that looks like it's getting hit with all these either meteorites or something. It's getting hit with a bunch of this errant debris, and it's just destroying buildings and stuff like that. And then we go into this little monologue from Alexander Skarsgard where they're talking about how they need Kong. And basically that whole opening little bit after we get past the city section is we see Kong, and he's chained up on this barge. It looks like they've somehow managed to knock him unconscious, either with gas or maybe some kind of tranquilizer darts or something. But somehow they have managed to keep him. They have managed to make him comatose and keep him that way. And during this time, we see that apparently he's developed some kind of bond with this little girl who we don't exactly know what's going on there. I don't remember if she was a character in some of the previous films. There's not a lot of actually. There's not an extreme amount of returning characters in this movie, at least in a main sense. The only one that I can really think of is Millie Bobby Brown from Godzilla King of the Monsters from 2018 or 2019. And she does return as the same character as Madison Russell. So now that we're into that kind of a section where this is kind of probably, I don't necessarily know if maybe this little girl is the MacGuffin of the film, but she has some kind of connection with Kong. Kind of like how Millie Bobby Brown has some sort of a connection with Godzilla. Not nearly as much of an emotional connection, but some form of a connection. So then we move into the main action set piece for this trailer. And the main action set piece is Godzilla attacking this military convoy, this flotilla of ships, that has Kong, where they're transporting him. Now, they also give away a little bit later on that the reason why they're going after Kong is because Godzilla has apparently started just wreaking havoc on everything. Apparently, he's just started attacking cities and stuff indiscriminately, at least from what we can tell. And before we, but like I was saying, before we get to that, the main action set piece, because just to give you some clarification on kind of what's been going on here to understand why Godzilla is so overly destructive, even though he's kind of already very destructive to begin with. The opening part shows him, and he's swimming through the water, and you see the back spikes, his little, all the spikes and stuff that are coming out of his back that light up when he uses his radioactive breath. You see those coming out of the water, and he's almost like a torpedo, and he's just going right towards this battleship, and he just carves that fucking thing in half. Now, that's the type of shit I want to see from a monster movie. I want to see those massive set piece things where you just see monsters just destroying stuff like they're toys. And they don't really show you outside of that. Then we go to a scene where it looks like Kong is screaming into the water because he sees that Godzilla is kind of ducked down below his little boat, or the barge or whatever it is that he's on. I think it actually might be an aircraft carrier. And Godzilla shoots up and right out of the water and knocks him back, and then you see Godzilla climb onto this ship, and they actually start having this fight on board the actual ship. Now, it is kind of stupid that Godzilla doesn't just immediately blast the thing with with radioactive breath, but they do actually kind of get to that, which is kind of funny. But we only really see one actually initial hit of the combat, which is as soon as Godzilla gets on the ship, Kong winds up and haymakers him in the side of the face. And then after that, we go to a scene where Godzilla is basically thrown off of the boat at some point, and instead of coming back up, he chooses to blast the ship with his radioactive breath, and from the bottom of the ocean, and you just see this massive pillar of light just shoot up through this boat and just obliterate everything as Kong is like jumping off of it, John McClane style from Die Hard. You know the scene where John McClane jumps off the roof in Die Hard when he has the hose tied to him? It reminded me a lot of that, where the visual of it anyway. And then after that, then we cut to some of the smaller characters. We see a couple of things. Like I said, Stellan Skarsgard's in this movie. He has the initial monologue. We also have another actress, I can't remember her name, who's in this movie. She has kind of some of the monologues from the middle, where they're talking about, how there was this big war, and basically these are the only two monsters that are left. It's just Godzilla and Kong, and they have to finally duke it out. There's a scene where it looks like Kong has some kind of a a primitive axe or something. He's holding some form of a weapon with what looks like either an axe head or some kind of a spike on it. There's another scene where we see him swinging around these sort of there's these two creatures. They look kind of like flying eels or something like that, and he's just swinging them around and bashing them against rocks and stuff. There's a lot of kind of good action-y scenes in there. Then we get to some scenes with Millie Bobby Brown, and that's where we kind of get the explanation of, nobody really knows why Godzilla's doing this. And she says, oh, no, somebody must be provoking him. So that's kind of probably going to be our B plot for the movie. The A plot is Godzilla versus Kong. That's going to be the A plot because that's the title of the fucking movie. But the B plot is going to be Millie Bobby Brown going around and probably trying to figure out who is manipulating Kong. Now, it could be any number of things. They've established a lot of stuff in this universe already with 3 previous films, because you had the 2014 Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, and then Godzilla King of Monsters before this film, which... Again, this was teased at the end of Kong Skull Island in 2017, so this has a 4-year build-up to it. And then at the end of it, we also see that Godzilla and Kong are duking it out in what appears to be a city. And that, again, the main action set piece is the scene on the boat. So I assume that the third act set piece is the one that takes place in the city. That's the one that we're seeing at the end of the trailer. But aside from the action, we really don't learn a whole lot about the story other than Godzilla appears to be being manipulated by somebody, or some organization is somehow manipulating him. Now, there's a couple of good twists I could see coming out of this, and I'm going to throw these out there just as kind of predictions, and if I'm right, maybe I get to say that I'm right later. I have a funny feeling that they're going to, because the other advertisement for this is that, one will fall. It's one of those things like, one of them has to win and one of them has to lose. And I have a funny feeling the Godzilla that we're seeing in this trailer, the one that we're seeing, just decimate boats and stuff like that, I think that's Mechagodzilla. And I think they're doing the same thing that they did when they did the original Mechagodzilla, when he came in the original, in the first series of Godzilla films back in the 60s and 70s. And they're gonna and it's gonna wind up being this thing where they have some kind of like a Godzilla, like a biological skeleton or something over him. It could be that situation. I think that's plausible, and I think that would be a really cool heel turn where he's just way too powerful for Kong in the end, and you have to have Godzilla, the real Godzilla, which is probably going to wind up getting freed by Millie Bobby Brown and her hacker friend or whoever they're driving around in some kind of news van. Those two are going to wind up releasing him, and then it's going to be the real Godzilla and Kong versus Mechagodzilla. Because the other thing is, Mechagodzilla has not come in yet in these movies. They've got King Ghidorah, they've done Rodan, they've done a whole bunch of other monsters in addition to Godzilla and Kong, but they haven't gone to Mechagodzilla, at least not to my knowledge. So I don't even remember exactly if they've hinted at him before. Maybe they did in King of Monsters. I can't remember. But if they did that, I can see that being a really interesting finale. And if they keep it under wraps until the film comes out, that's even better. Because I think that the other thing is, if we're just going to see Godzilla and Kong beat the fuck out of each other, then I think they gave away maybe a little bit too much of those action set pieces in that trailer. I mean, like I said, that scene on the with the flotilla probably lasts for a lot, probably lasts for a while. I would assume that they probably fight for a decent amount of time. That's probably their first encounter in the movie, so I could see that lasting for, that's probably a fairly extensive scene in addition to the last one, which we barely see any of. So that's my only query, though, is that maybe they showed too much of like the money shots, quote unquote, like the shot of Godzilla shooting the radioactive breath through the ship from below and Kong jumping off of it. Like that's kind of a very that's a very postery type of shot. And I think that maybe they should have saved that for the film, but I understand why it was in there, especially if there's other shots that are going to be, equally as good in this film. So that's one option, is it could actually be Mechagodzilla. The other option could be maybe the Monarch organization, whoever's kind of doing all this kind of weird stuff right now with Godzilla, somehow managed to put something in his brain or somehow exhibit control over him in some way, shape, or form, which I think is probably the more likely of the two scenarios. Again, I like the Mechagodzilla angle. That would be interesting. But if they did an angle where it was Godzilla and he was somehow under control by some humans or something like that, and that's the reason why he's causing all this destruction or doing something, I think that would be interesting. I don't think they're going to go with the aliens angle like they did in the original films. I don't think they're going to try and go that route with aliens controlling Godzilla or aliens being the reason why Mechagodzilla exists, because I think the original Mechagodzilla was alien construction. The second one I know wasn't. The second one from the Heisei era, I'm pretty sure, was made by humans, as well as the third one, I believe, the Millennium one, or whatever you want to call it. I'm pretty sure that one was also made by humans. I don't remember exactly with that one, but there's a lot of different ways it could go, but I really did enjoy what I saw in the trailer. I hope I enjoy what I see in the movie. I hope they didn't just show me everything and then I don't get to see half the stuff in the movie, or they've done it before, not specifically Lionsgate, but it's been done before where they've thrown a bunch of shots in the movie and then those shots don't show up in the film, stuff like that. False advertising. I hope that's not the case. But as of right now, taking everything that I've seen in this trailer with considering it, truthful advertising, this looks like it's going to be a really fun movie to watch. This is going to look like it's going to be a really fun set piece film. I hope that it's available in theaters by the time that it's going to come out in late March. Because I actually really want to go see it actually in theaters. It's one of those great movies that you should see in a theater because it's a very large set piece film. It benefits from the theater environment, unlike some other movies. So I do want to see it in theaters, but it's going to be very interesting, and I'm actually pretty excited for this one. So as usual, I'm going to link the trailer in the description below. I want to know what you think, though. Do you guys like Godzilla vs. Kong? Have you seen the first trailer? Do you like the first trailer? Do you think that they're going to do it right this time? Well, I shouldn't say this time, but do you think they're going to do it right? Do you like the fact that they're bringing these two characters together after so much teasing it in the last couple of films? Put your thoughts in the comments below. As usual, I like to read them. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?